The Nun is directed by Corey Hardy and stars Tessa Farmiga and
which is the sister
of Vera
Farmiga
from the Conjuring movies. Yeah. She's the younger sister. And it also stars Damien Bakar. I'm sorry if I pronounced it. He was the guy from. He was one of the guys from The Hateful Eight. He was the Mexican dude.
Okay.
And this movie is now the third spin-off of the Conjuring franchise, following Annabelle and Annabelle Creations. And this film is a spin-off about the character of Valak, who, if you remember, was the creepy nun from the Conjuring 2. And this film deals with the backstory that's set in Romania in 1952, and it deals with a young nun, an up-and-coming nun, played by Tessa Farmiga, who's investigating the death of a nun that basically had happened in this church, and they're investigating more about the mysterious nun that's haunting
her and the father priest,
along with this other guy that ends up, this guy who travels a lot, who ends up finding the body. Who goes with them. So now here's some backstory. Now, I'm a big fan of the Conjuring films, and ever since the first one came out, and I've always been enjoying the way that they keep making these type of supernatural films like these.
Yeah, and I'm a big Conjuring fan. I liked one, and I thought two just upped it even more. But for some reason, I just can't get into their spin-offs. Their spin-offs haven't been all that hot for me.
Yeah.
I wasn't really a big fan of Annabelle. Definitely not a big fan of Annabelle, but I could live with never seeing Annabelle Creations.
Yeah.
Either. I mean, I wasn't impressed with none of them.
Yeah, I was not a fan of the first Annabelle, because I remember 2014 when that came out, I was so hyped but very disappointed with it.
Yeah.
And then when the second one came out, it actually got me more into it. And so
I thought it was better than the first Annabelle.
The second one definitely fixed a lot of the problems. But this one, it really got me excited, because since I love the second Conjuring so much, I actually wanted to see the story behind this creepy nun.
And this one Annabelle was a big hype thing going on when we saw Annabelle in the first Conjuring. This one brought, the nun, which everybody was hyped to see the spinoff in this one.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you right now, I was let down again with another spinoff. I was disappointed.
Yeah, I was disappointed myself with it. Now, I wasn't quite as disappointed, like I said, like I was with the first Annabelle. I thought this was at least better, but it still has a lot of those same problems that it had, just not as much. And also, what's interesting is that this one was written by, the story was written by James Wan. He was a co-writer on the story.
And it's a shame because, his name is really up there as the co-writer. He wrote this, and, man, James Wan, I'm a little disappointed.
I loved his first two.
The Conjurings are so damn good. It's just, what is going on with these spin-offs?
I know.
I don't know why they can't capture the same charisma or whatever you want to call it in the Conjuring movies. They just can't capture the same mood, the same everything with all these. I mean, he creates all these good monsters, and we look forward to their spin-offs, and they end up being kind of shit.
Yeah. So to get in some of our cons, or at least some of our pros out of the way, I'll say that the girl that plays the young nun, Tessa Farmiga, she was pretty good, along with the other priest, the guy Damien. And I actually do like her story involved, where she's a nun that can have visions and stuff. I thought that was very interesting how they did with her character. And I also got into the other guy too, the priest who goes with her.
I actually, the cast was great. I thought the girl did a phenomenal job.
I also
my other pro is I love the atmosphere and the visuals. It's trying to capture a Gothic Romanian, back in old time Victorian type thing. I like that look to it, kind of like a medieval time of look. Yeah, mix. You guys know the really back in the old
the
times, crusade kind of things, because this takes place in a
1950s Romania.
Well, it takes place in Romania in a castle.
Yeah,
and I love the visuals. It is a good visually affected movie, and the atmosphere is good.
And definitely, especially the dark black, and a lot of the movie, 90% of it takes place at night. So the way that they're able to capture a lot of the cinematography really blends in a lot of the atmosphere of what you're getting into.
So the atmosphere is great.
I also enjoyed too the way that they made the nun, the Valak, actually resemble like it was in the second film. And I'll admit there were some creepy parts in the film that really got me, because the parts that I enjoyed the most, when it comes to them trying to rely on being scared on the thrills. It's usually when you see stuff going like in the background and stuff like that.
Not the whole bah, bah, bah. And I'll get to cons in that part in a second.
For the pros, I like the small moments we see, like where Valak's like in the background and stuff like that.
I did like that. Where you can see her just like, it's just pure silence, kind of like Michael Myers.
Yeah.
Where it's just standing there and just pop. You just, like, if you pay attention, you don't have the music playing, so you're not really looking around, like, is there something looking around? And you can actually see parts where she's just standing there.
And that's one of that's one of the common things they do a lot with the Conjuring franchise, is they like to do subtle type of scares instead of doing, blah, blah.
The jump scares to me I feel like are dead no matter what.
Yeah.
Whoever does it, what movie does it, it's just, I get bored with them.
So you can tell the person that directed this, they were trying to capture the similar feel of the Conjuring films.
Yeah, they kind of got their homework on it. It's just, I'll get in my cons on one thing I want to complain.
Well, the other thing too is the movie does also add in some interesting things about the character of Valak. Yeah. It's just because I like the way they do kind of set it up for it, and there's also a good little tie-in that they do toward the end of the film that I thought really worked, and it calls back to the first movie.
Yes, the first movie, and the beginning with the second movie. So I do like that where you get to see. I'm not going to tell you, but what he was saying, I did like that.
So now this movie I didn't expect.
One more thing, it's another pro. Something like, you don't expect this movie to be gory, and it's not, but for what blood they do have was pretty cool.
Yeah, I do. I did find that, and there were some really there's actually one part that kind of reminded me of something right out of The Shining, because there's like a whole spew of blood like coming out and stuff. It's for like only a few seconds, but when it happens, I was like, damn.
Now there's some pretty cool parts in here where like I wouldn't say like all the entities you get to see pop out are cool looking. There was one I thought was pretty clever, especially the one that kind of resembled Silent Hill with the little things, the nuns. That was pretty cool. I did also the nun. I'm hit and miss. The last 15-10 minutes, I like the look of the nun. As far as getting into my cons, since I'm on the subject, the nun in pretty much half this movie, CGI was kind of noticeable for me. Yeah,
I did notice it a couple of times, like you did. Yeah. That was part of my con, but I guess because the movie was able to blend a lot of it in shadows and stuff, I think the way that it was kind of going, I felt like they rendered it pretty good for the most part, but I get what you're saying. There were a few times where I did notice it.
And I'm glad he brought that up so I don't forget. And this was something I was telling you before we started the video. One of my other cons, and this is like a hit and miss, not saying it's a bad thing. I do like the whole darkness of it, because that resembles a time where we didn't have lights in these castles.
Yeah.
They rely on fire, candles and stuff like that. I like that. But here's an issue. I thought the scenes where there was a lot of creatures was like too far in the dark. It was way too dark, where I was having problems seeing some of the stuff that was going on. Kind of reminded me of Aliens Requiem.
Where you couldn't see.
Yeah, because there was a lot of creatures that we didn't get to see because they were too far in the background. We're like, what the hell?
You had to squint your eyes to try to look at it.
Well, it was so dark you couldn't see them. You couldn't do anything but sit there because the movie was already made in dark. I don't have problems with the movie made in dark. I just have problems if you're going to do something you want me to see, you got to let me fucking see it a little bit.
No, I got you on that.
Yeah.
Well, to get into some of my other cons, I'll say that while the film does something interesting with the character of the nun, I felt like the film was just... It's every other type of supernatural horror film that doesn't push a lot of the story like you're expecting to.
Yeah, the ones that you see generally him and I bitch about. Unfortunately, a lot of this falls under those same generic types of scopes of supernatural films, and I was actually disappointed how generic this plot story being told was.
Yeah,
it really was. It just felt like so bland.
I know.
It's like beginning, middle, end bland.
Yeah, it starts out pretty unique with how they capture and all, but as the story goes along, that also comes from other cons. The pacing in this, I felt like was dragging a lot. Now, not quite as much as the first Annabelle, because that film had a lot worse pacing. Yeah. But this one, it took a long time to get things like where it's expecting that you want to know more. into the story.
And I agree with him. That's probably my biggest problem is this movie's pacing. I'm not going to compare Annabelle. That was a really bad pacing movie, yeah. But this movie had such a bad pacing issue. I was getting fucking bored.
Yeah,
it was one of these movies that you're pretty much bored until the final act.
Yeah,
because I was really just like, and not only that, I was getting tired of the jump scares they were doing.
That's the other thing. I mean, we had the same problem that we had with a lot of. This is common with a lot of the other types of supernatural films where someone goes to alone to look at something, or you have something popping out of nowhere. Now, when it's timed right, it does work, but it's mixed because like there'll be times where it does work, and then there's other times where it's like it's fucking coming.
Like the boy thing was just an add-on. That one with the priest.
And that's the other thing too in regards to that. Well, not in regards to that, but there's another character we forgot to mention. Well, we mentioned earlier the guy who's basically the comic relief of the group, the French dude.
Yeah, the one that
that dude, I kind of fucking annoyed me.
Yeah, I didn't really care for the dude. You could tell that they're wanting him to be the one-liner guy, and it doesn't even fit in this universe. They don't do it in the Conjurings. Well, why the hell would you?
The first one, they had the kind of snarky cop that was with them, but that I could still buy that though, because that still worked. This one, no, because the humor that the dude's doing is very cheap, and it just comes across as just kind of out of place.
It is out of place because he seems to our time to be making that type of humor.
Yeah.
The way the lines that came out weren't really something I'd see fit in that time.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know, I will say that, not to really go any more details because of spoil issues, but I will say that it's not horrible, but I was highly disappointed in the movie.
Yeah, I was too. And with that, I'm going to give the movie a very low average Joe on the Film Freaks meter.
Yeah, I'm going to go extremely, extremely low on the average Joe Film Freaks meter. Borderline, if it wasn't for that ending that I thought was kind of cool with the fight and all that stuff, I probably would have gave this movie a disaster.
Well, and we won't spoil basically about the ending real quick, but when we were in the theater, it did kind of remind us, like, there's a part that happens near it that reminded us something about a demon night, which I thought was kind of cool. Yeah, so there was that.
That's what I'm saying. That ending part, I was like, okay, now that was kind of cool. Like, I started kind of getting in the last 10 minutes, but, I mean, if it wasn't for that, if that movie would have ended, like, just cheap, this movie would have got a disaster. Yeah. That's how borderline it is with me. But I'm giving it an average Joe, very low.
Fair enough. And for those of you who have also seen The Nun and also the other Conjuring films in the franchise, let us know in the comments below of what you thought about it. And if you like what you see here, you can feel free to like, subscribe to our channel, and check out more of our other reviews here and at our website at filmfreaks.com. And we'll be seeing you in our next review. We'll see you later.